Short-term rentals. I'm going to make this very fast. For discussion of item number 1925, short-term rental of apartments or townhomes. A quick review, we have already approved where this is going to be applicable. We have already approved the language of the ordinance. The only outstanding language we have left open for discussion was the grandfather clause.
Objection, Mr. Chair. The entire ordinance is before us. This is not the Rules Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives. The entire ordinance is before it, and there is nothing which precludes our discussing any aspect of it or receiving public testimony.
That's nice, Henry, but I'll be running this meeting, and I don't have to open the public. It is the chairman's discussion. I will not be opening this for public discussion.
Now, Mr. Chairman, you've received, like all of us has, maybe 100 emails. There's obviously great public interest in this matter. This may be the most important land use legislation to affect Flamingo Park in the past 20 years. I think rushing this through when we're probably going to conclude it tonight is very ill-advised. It is completely contrary to the Citizens' Bill of Rights in our charter, which encourages discussion and encourages public participation.
Very good, Henry. You're on the record. And now, Richard, let's...
I want to be clear. Are you denying the opportunity to submit amendments today?
I'm not denying the opportunity for you to talk about your amendments. You're a board member, and you'll have your opportunity to speak on this. But, Henry, we have been quite clear. We have had public hearings. I will not debate this. We have opened this. This has been open for public discussion on many, many times. We have crossed over these items. We have agreed, we have voted on, and we have put them down in the book, and I'm not opening up items that have already been closed. This is not something that's going to go on, and we are not taking opportunities when we have talked about and put on our agenda the discussion of a particular item, and the purpose here is very specific and very curtailed. Many people have had their input here. Many people have had long input. We have all had hours and hours and hours of discussion. And by the way, we're not the final word, okay?
But we do
this goes in front of the commission. Everybody's got even more opportunity to go on the record, more opportunity to discuss this. Including us.
But we do have the obligation to recommend to the Commission the best ordinance that we're capable of drafting. This is a case of a clean white piece of paper. If there are any models around the country for this, we haven't seen them. All the drafting has been done on plain white paper. I think we should try to submit the best ordinance we're capable of.
Henry and I think we are. And,
well, we'll see.
And I think that, you know, our board has acted and spoken and judged. And there's a time where you have to move on, and we're moving on.
I'll reserve the right to submit my 3 amendments. You can rule them in order or out of order at the time. I'd also like to have a ruling from the chair, please, relative to whether public testimony will be received this afternoon.
Public testimony will not be received this afternoon.
Complete violation of the Citizens' Bill of Rights.
Can we allow public testimony with relation to grandfathering, since that's the item that that you want to discuss?
Well, here's the thing, Daniel. We opened up the discussion last time, and we went through this already once before. We opened up the discussion last time for the language of the ordinance. We discussed all the language of the ordinance. We had massive public hearing. Then we closed down the public hearing, and we had our internal discussion about language of the ordinance. And because of time and because of research elements, we said, you know what? We can't finish our discussion. We're going to finish our discussion at the next meeting. So what this is this is now an extension of where we left off.
So
the public hearing had already been approached, had already been discussed on all the language issues, and now we're not opening up public discussion again.
And I would say, okay, you know, we already discussed that, but when we're talking about a new issue on the board, I want to encourage community participation. So if they want to talk about what we're discussing, I think we should, just asking that we consider it. If they want to talk about something unrelated, then, you know, it's your choice. But I think if they want to provide public testimony about what we're actually discussing, then I think we should give it some leeway.
And by the way, Daniel, just to refresh your memory, in our last meeting, in our open discussions. There was plenty of discussion regarding grandfathering. So it's not that we didn't hear any input on it.
I know.
I think the board has enough input to make an intelligent decision on the one issue.
The entire ordinance has been restated. The public did not see that until Thursday afternoon. Our mandate to staff was
they
to,
might
our
not have-
mandate
if
to
we had
staff
voted on
was
it,
to
they wouldn't have seen it at
redraft
all.
the entire ordinance to incorporate all previous amendments. So the grandfathering language is completely new, and many sections have been revised to reflect the work we did at previous sessions.
Again, I think we've had ample thing, and I think ample discussion, and I think we've had ample, I think we have enough input that we all know what the issues are here.
What are
And
we
I think
afraid
of? We have plenty of, all know what the issues are here.
What are we
I think
afraid of?
we have plenty of input and enough to discuss this issue, and if we feel that we need more input, then we can do that, but I don't think we need it at this point. This is just language that we're trying to work on to close down the ordinance. And this was an internal discussion that we were having subsequent to our vote, and there is no expectation to open up for public hearing at this point from our previous discussions.
And I guess just from my perspective, it's pretty clear there's not an adequate number of folks in the audience because we've had so many more people here when it was open to discussion. And many of the emails we've received as a board in the past several days included language that said, we know that the hearing has been closed to the public.
I will also indicate that along those lines, it is my feeling that we have made every indication through our previous discussion at our previous meeting that this would not be an open discussion, that we would just be discussing the grandfather issue. And it's not fair to then open it up to the few people who came here without proper things. So I don't think it's fair to open it up. With that, Richard, let's talk about the grandfather language.
Sure. Okay. Would be the following. In the Flamingo Park and Collins Waterfront Historic Districts, the RM1 and TH districts, and then in North Beach, the RM1 district located north of 73rd Street, and that's a typo that it says 75th Street in what I handed out, but it's 73rd Street. Daniel correctly found that and pointed that typo out. And then the triangle bounded by Indian Creek Drive, Harding Avenue, and 71st Street. And there are maps in your report that show all those areas.